Good evening, everyone. We will please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, which will be led by Renee this evening.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mayor Rowe.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Miller.
Present.
Councilman Racy.
Here.
Councilman Porter.
Here.
Councilman Webster.
Here.
Councilman Dowden.
Present.
You do have a quorum with all 6 members present.
Thank you. And if everyone would just make sure your cell phones are all on silent, I would really appreciate it. With our new audio equipment in here, we can hear it.
So the first item is a moment of silence for Shirley Castledini, and she was a business owner, owned Shirl Ceramics for many years on Michigan Avenue.
Thank you.
Item 1 is to approve the agenda.
Move to approve without exception.
Support.
It's been moved by Mayor Pro Tem Miller, supported by Councilman Webster, I believe.
Yes.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item 2 are City Council minutes. Item 2A are the regular meeting minutes of September 18th.
Motion to approve.
Support.
It's moved by Councilman Porter, supported by Councilman Webster. Are there any corrections? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Next item is item 3, presentations. Item 3A is a presentation of a $800 check to the Wayne Police Department from the Wayne Rotary Club for the purchase of an active shooter armor kit. I know that the Rotary is here, and Chief Maciag.
Say just one thing.
Yes?
Yes.
My name's Charlotte Tarwacki. I'm current president of the Rotary.
Yes.
That doesn't mean we don't roll over pretty often to a new leadership. But the leadership of this Rotary Club, way before me, has been supporting of issues for this town. And we continue, and we wish to continue to do so. So today we're presenting a $800 check to the chief for an active shooter protection kit. Proceeds from the concerts in the park, 8 of which we worked this summer. Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay.
Good evening, Mayor, members of City Council.
Good evening.
Just for everyone here in the audience at home, I would like to say thank you to the Rotary for their support. They have always stepped up to help the city as well as the police department. We greatly appreciate it. And just for description purposes, an active shooter armor kit, unfortunately in this day and age of the school shootings and active shooter situations throughout the country, we're looking for ways to better equip our officers to be safe while responding to these very bad situations. The kits, everyday officers wear their body armor. These kits contain another heavier ballistic shield body armor, which goes over the body armor, also a ballistic helmet, and a bag to carry it in. So if the officers are responding to it, an extra level of protection when they have to go into these type of situations. So we greatly appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Chief, does that cover the cost of the one kit only?
Yeah, one kit, that's about what they are.
Wow.
It's right around $800.
Okay. Well, thank you. And thank you very much to the Wayne Rotary for all that you do as a very good service organization in the city of Wayne.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Item 3B is a presentation by Dr. Holt, Superintendent of Wayne Westland Community Schools, on the upcoming bond proposal.
Good evening, everyone, and
Good
thank
evening.
you, Mayor and City Council members and members of the audience, just for having us here tonight to talk about what I think is our most important resource here in our community, which is our children. And so, normally we start this presentation off with a video, and what I would ask is we're not going to show the video this evening, but please, if you get a chance to watch this 3-minute video, what the video is going to show you is that in the state of Michigan, and it's part of the reason I did come to Michigan, it has to do with the funding crisis that we're in with education. The video talks about it costs $9,590 to educate a general education child in the state of Michigan. Michigan right now is the worst place in America to learn to read if you are an African American. It is the second worst place in America to learn to read if you are white. That's a problem that we have in our society. And here we have an opportunity with this bond to begin that trek towards adequately funding education for students here in Wayne Westland. $9,590 is what it costs to educate a general education student. That is not including food cost. That is not including transportation. That is only at pension at 4.6%. And you know that we pay a lot more than that. We actually calculate at 40% for benefits and wages and pensions, etc. We in Wayne Westland receive $7,871 per student. That's a $240 increase from previous years. This is our first year of a $240 increase. But you can see if it costs $9,590 to educate a general education student, that does not include my kids that are English learners. That does not include my children that are special education. That does not include anyone who is low income or suffering any parts of trauma. $9,990 is the base. And then the study that the video is based off of talks about all of the different additions you have to make for all of the different situations that I'm talking about. So that being said, as we talk about this bond, and it's not technically a renewal, so I cannot call it a renewal, but every 20 years, pretty much since the inception of school here in Wayne Westland community, before when it was just Wayne, and then we've been going for bonds. So this is kind of just the way we do business and kind of the way that schools are funded, but even with this, it's still not enough. So with that being said, I'm going to skip over the video because that's pretty much what the video said, and just tell you a little bit about what's on the November 6th ballot proposal. Our focus with this bond is on safety and security. As Chief Maciag just alluded to, we are in a very different time in education. We are in a time when we actually have to train our children for active shooter drills. We are in a time when we actually have to train our children not to trust adults that walk through the building. It's a sad time right now. Doesn't mean that we can't move through it, but that's the reality of what we face every day in schools, on top of just the typical teenage, adolescent, and childhood things that we go through. Safety and security is number one. With this bond, we'll be able to put Sally ports in every one of our schools, which means if you have the pamphlet that my staff is about to hand out, can you hand those out, please, to the folks on the council and in the audience. A Sally port is when you enter the school, they have to be kind of in this holding area before they can go into the school. And that's where we check IDs, make sure we find out why people are in the building. And before you are either escorted or allowed to go in the building, we're going to check and make sure what you're doing here, why you're here. And it's not just as simple as waving your badge. Coming here from a different state, I recognize that we do things differently in different places. I have to be honest, I was actually quite shocked at how open our schools are here in our community compared to other communities that I've lived and worked in. The other piece with our bond is infrastructure. We are in the 21st century. Our kids have to be able to compete not just nationally, but internationally. It is very hard to compete in a digital era where everything is on the internet and you know, our kids are connected to everyone all over the world when the internet does not work consistently. The challenge right now is that with our phone system and our infrastructure, our boilers, they're very, very old and very expensive to maintain in our brick buildings. We have beautiful buildings. If you've walked through Wayne High or John Glenn or any of our schools, the first thing you notice is how immaculately clean they are, but also how well maintained. That maintenance is not a cheap thing to do, let's just say. Also, our learning environments. In order to really bring our students into the 21st century, we have to really analyze our learning environments. 2 weeks ago, I had a graduate who graduated in 19, we won't say, and what she found, she walked in the classroom and she found her desk from when she graduated in a classroom with a kid in it. We still have the same furniture. We still have the same, some of the same chairs. And while we've done a really good job at maintaining quite a bit of our facilities and our learning environments, as you'll see, we need to update. Also is our energy and operational efficiency. We have several areas of our buildings that will show where we have to just move. Again, it's just moving into the 21st century. The last bond was in 1998, and we made repairs based on 1998 standards. Well, it's 20 years later, and we have new expectations that we have to fulfill. Finally, with buses, I transport 8,000 children every single day. 8,000 children. 80% of my bus fleet needs to be replaced. Literally, I was waiting up until Monday to get 6 frames for my buses. So I've been borrowing buses since the beginning of school from another neighboring district. Now my frames came in. We're going to get those frames in the next couple of weeks, and we can give those buses back. If you've also been keeping up with stuff that's happening in the news, our bus contracting company actually just dropped us. Because the ones who did our middle school runs in the middle of the day, because our wages that we pay are not as high as what private people can pay. So now I have literally my directors, folks that are coming out of retirement that have, and it's not that I don't have enough people that want to do it, it's that I don't have enough drivers. People want to do it, but I don't have enough drivers and I don't have enough buses to do the runs during the day while I'm still transporting those 8,000 children. So we have a lot of challenges right now in Wayne Westland, but we can make it through them. I am very confident, having been literally in multiple districts across the country, that we have the teachers, the administrators, and the knowledge and the wherewithal to be able to move the district forward. But I cannot do that for free. That is not, it costs money. And so as we move forward, you can see that the bond is a $158 million bond. It's going to, the work is going to happen in 3 phases. We start with the high schools and then move to the elementaries and the middles. And the first thing that's going to happen in phase 4, I shouldn't say first thing, but one of the things that's going to happen in phase 1 for all the schools is air conditioning throughout all of the buildings in Wayne Westland. Air conditioning for my children and my families is not a luxury. It is a necessity. We have to do this for our kids. I have classrooms right now that are upwards of 90, 99, sometimes even 100 degrees. And the decision I have to make as superintendent is whether or not to close school now in August, and we have no idea what kind of winter we're going to have, or do we wait and close school in June, and put those days in June. If I close school in August, and I only get 6 days for every single school building, 6 days that I can call either snow days, or if it's a hot day or threat day or anything like that. After 6, I have to start adding at the end. So do we want to have hot kids and teachers in the beginning when maybe everybody's a little bit more fresh, or hot kids and teachers and staff in the end when everybody's tired of each other and now I have to add a day? Not fun. So please know that in the world of education, operations will always supersede instruction. Always. When the lights went out the other day at, Hamilton and Marshall, no one was thinking about y equals mx plus b. The quadratic formula was on no one's mind. What was on everyone's mind was, how are we going to make sure lunch is done? How are we going to send them home? Are we not? If we send them home, we're sending them home to homes that don't have power either. So those are the conversations we have. We're not talking about the fact that 75% of my kids are not reading on grade level at 3rd grade. We're not talking about the school to prison pipeline. We're not talking about the things we need to talk about because the power's out. So operations will always supersede instruction, and we know we want to focus on instruction in our community. This is a picture of Franklin. This was that week when we had all the rain. This just goes to show you that we are not fixing all of these immediately. We're just putting patchwork jobs on these because we don't want to put any money into buildings that may consolidate in the future, because we just don't know which ones we're going to consolidate just yet. But when it does rain, it does pour indoors, and it shouldn't. This is another section of leaky roofs, and the challenge with our roofs is it costs about $500,000 to put a roof on an elementary building. A lot more than the $10,000 to $15,000 it costs to put a roof on in a house. And just know that all states don't have to deal with this. Coming from a different state, I've never talked about roofs a day in my life until I came here. So these are challenges that are unique to our state, and expenses that are unique to us here where we do different types of roofs. This is our current phone system. That is a green screen computer. You know that green screen where, you know, when the internet used to make sounds when it came up, like that AT&T disc used to get in the mail? That computer could probably still take a disc. And so this was part of the reason that 7 schools started the year on the first day of school with no phones. The phone system went out. And so you can see why. It's a very antiquated system, and we need to update into the 21st century. Right now, I actually have to employ someone to ensure that when Chief Maciag and his folks have police called, that the 911 system shows that they go to Marquette. We have to actually have someone there to make sure that the police go to the correct school, because the phone system is connected to Marquette and not to each individual school. It's 2018, folks. This is a simple fix, but if I don't have the money to do it, I cannot move that forward. Here's the conditions of our boilers. A boiler right now, and as I'm looking at about the size of this room, a boiler right now in Wayne Westland would probably be about the size of this room. And those boilers had a life expectancy of 25 years. Right now, I am averaging 45 years on my boilers. That speaks volumes to my maintenance and operations team. But at what point are we now playing with something that we really don't want to play with? At what point are we now, talking about possibly some safety issues? We don't want to push it, so we want to replace our boilers. This is our existing conditions of our buses. This was 2 days before school started. And those are corroded floors. Now, we did fix all of these, and these are up to code at this point. But before we fix it, we take pictures of it so folks can see. We spend a lot of time maintaining our equipment. We also lease many of our buses. Well, we know what happens when you lease. We want to get in the buying business, because leasing literally just kind of eats up your funds because we're not able to buy them outright. This is what we're talking about when we talk about infrastructure. That infrastructure word, oftentimes it's just very global, but we're talking about the secure entrances. We're talking about air conditioning, the 911 system, fire alarm upgrades, new roofs. We're talking basics, folks. I'm not talking luxury. I'm not talking about fancy seating. I'm not talking about anything, the new bells and whistles. I'm talking basics that we have to have behind the walls of our schools. So this is where we talked about just the fact that we went with our critical needs. When we did all of our critical needs, we were over 300 million. I know in this day and age, with what we're going through right now in all communities, I'm doing this here, I'm doing this in Westland, I'm doing this in Inkster, Romulus, we have all, and Canton, we have all communities here that come to Wayne Westland. When we did all of our needs, we needed over 300 million. I knew we couldn't ask for 300 million. That's just a bit too much right now. So I sent the team back and said, no, I need you to get the basic of the basic needs. That's when we came up with the $158 million number. And this graph here just goes to show you the cost of a roof for an elementary, an upper L, a middle school, and a high school. Roofs are extremely, extremely expensive. So here's what we're talking about. We're talking about a 5.56 mils is what we were paying in 2016. That was the last bond. Over the last 2 years, we refinanced our bond, and we were able to bring the cost down to the taxpayer. That is the right thing to do. And one thing we do pride ourselves on in Wayne Westland is doing what's right. The challenge with that, though, is now that we're coming back, it seems like we're actually paying less. The bond we're talking about now is 4.48 mils. So it's 1.08 less than we were paying before. But because we gave the tax break, taxpayers will see about a $7.33 increase per month per $100,000 of their home. And that's explained on the back of that brochure. At the end of the day, my daughter does this as she goes door to door. She says, you know what? It's about the cost of a Big Mac. It's about the cost of a Big Mac a month. And so I understand that we are in tough financial times. I am a resident of the Westland community. I get it. We're getting a lot of information right now. Everybody's asking for money. But at the end of the day, we cannot afford as a community to slight our children. So that's all I have. Any questions?
Are there any questions from members of council?
I'm full of good news.
Anyone? Yes.
Yes.
Out of each city, what is Wayne going to be paying out of this if you broke it down between Wayne Westland and Inkster?
We don't break it down that way. We don't break our numbers down that way. And so, I mean, that could be something we could think about, but we don't break it down we don't delineate how many kids come from Wayne, how many comes from Westland, how much comes from each one. So It just has to do, we know it's $7.33 per $100,000 of the home. I can definitely ask that question, but I know that hasn't been broken down that way for me.
Mayor Roll.
Yes.
Dr. Holt, thank you for coming this evening. Really informative. I want to ask is how many currently are attending the complete entire school district throughout these entire communities?
I have a little under 11,000. Today, my number was 10,782 students. And so, and our numbers have been decreasing. We have about a 300 kid loss every year. This year we did not, and last year we did not experience that loss. We're actually over that number, which is good. So our numbers are beginning to increase. But what I can tell you is this, my special education numbers have stayed steady. And while I love my babies, the most expensive children to educate are special education children. We do a really good job, but it's a very expensive job to do.
All right, good.
Yes.
Got some questions. The current bond, that already, or we don't have a current bond because it's already ended what, a year or two ago? Or how did it?
No, it ends in June.
It ends this June, or it already ended?
Correct.
How does it work?
It ends in
So it
falls off in November.
So there will be not. It's basically it's not a renewal, but it is a renewal.
Yes.
Okay.
That's pretty much it.
Then the other question, because I've seen one of the presentations already. Can you tell us a little bit about what you want, some of the plans for Wayne Memorial?
Yes. Okay, that's not on here. What we're planning on for Wayne Memorial is that the entrance right now in Wayne Memorial is on the side of the building where it's a little bit harder for families to get to. The entrance for Wayne Memorial will be moved to the front of the school because that way families can get to it a lot easier. The counseling office and the main office will be combined right there in the front, and that space will be made into a classroom. We're also talking about expanding some of the size of the classrooms at Wayne Memorial. I'm not sure if it's because the kids have gotten larger or what, but my elementary classrooms are larger than my high school classrooms, and so we need to ensure that the classrooms at the high school. So we're going to be breaking down some walls in there. Other pieces to what's this? Oh, okay. I knew this one. For Stottlemyre, we're looking at, we have to create a easeway between the building and Stottlemyre, especially since that's a learning space. And so we have to have the kids be able to get to that learning space in the wintertime without the conditions of winter. And that's very hard for some of our kids, like in wheelchairs or anything like that, to get. They can't take some of the theater courses. Well, they can, but they have to go through the cold in order to get there. So we want to create a breezeway for our seniors in our community and for wheelchair access to get over to Stottlemyre. Another piece is they're going to add a field house onto Wayne Memorial. They're going to fix the track and repave the football court, football field. They're going to redo the current housing that's there for the stadium, and they're also going to add a second field house to the stadium. They're also going to do upgrades to all the science classrooms. We have the next generation science standards that we've already adopted as a state, but the expectations for those science standards and our current classroom buildings, they don't match. It's much more than just Bunsen burners and beakers, folks. It's a lot more detail that we're getting into our science classrooms. So we have the office in the front, the counseling center, and let me see if there's anything else that I could tell you off the top of my head.
I thought there was something with connecting Stottlemyre.
Yeah, that's the breezeway that I was talking about. Yeah, connecting to Stottlemyre. And what that is also going to do, Stottlemyre is a beautiful facility in the front. But in the back, it is not up to standard with what we want with our visual and performing arts department, because all the scene shop and the band room that's back there, it was not upgraded. So all of those would be upgraded so that we can really focus on our visual and performing arts programs district-wide. That's one of our efforts, is to really rebuild our visual and performing arts programs from pre-K all the way through high school so that we can truly take advantage of our award-winning bands and musical theater.
Okay. One other question I had, and I saw this on, that you had posted something yesterday. It's kind of not related to this, but it is related to our kids. Can you tell us a little bit about the breakfast and lunch thing that just happened?
Yes. So here's the deal. For those of us who have worked in low-income communities our entire career, we know a whole lot I'm just going to say. We know a whole lot about how the intricacies of Title I and budgets and things like that work, which if you're not working always in Title I communities or in low-income communities, you just don't know all the rules of the game. And so coming in, I was shocked, and we've been on this for some time about why is it that we are not 100% of our kids should be getting breakfast and lunch, and we shouldn't have to worry about who filled out what form. You should be able to fill out one form, everybody sends it in, and everybody gets breakfast and lunch. We've known this, but we were just trying to figure out the logistics. I cannot take credit for this. I have to give credit to the Hicks principal, Mrs. Amy G., who called the state after we had been just having these conversations and found out that actually, based on our last year's numbers, we were eligible for all of our kids to get free and reduced lunch. So we made the call, literally, she made the call Thursday. My business person called the state and clarified on Friday. On Monday, 100% of our kids are free, receive free lunch. And so that's basically what happened. So now every kid gets breakfast and lunch. If they stay after school, they get a snack, and if they're in the after school programs all the way through dinner time, they also get dinner. So we feed our children because we know, based on Maslow's hierarchy of needs, if kids are hungry, everything else goes downhill from there. But if we can make sure our kids are fed, my goodness, how powerful that is. So 100% of the students in Wayne Westland get breakfast and lunch.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Mayor Rowe, one other question.
Yes.
You mentioned at the beginning of your presentation regarding security. Can you elaborate a little bit about some of the enhancements that you are looking to increase security for the children in the schools?
Absolutely.
And give a sense of security for the families and the parents.
Absolutely. So right now, our current security system when people enter the building is everybody, I left my badge in my car, but everybody has a badge, somewhat like Miss Maria Mitter has. And you swipe those badges when you come in, and you can walk into the doors. If you come in there now, you hit a button, you have to show your ID into a camera, and then you walk right into the building. The problem comes in because once folks walk into the building, depending on which school you're in, you don't walk directly into the office. And so we have had situations where people have walked into our schools and just walked right on in. Then a secretary or somebody who's in there has to get up and go find the person or make sure they don't go further down that hall. That practice is beyond antiquated, and so we just cannot allow anyone to enter our buildings. So the first thing we have to do is ensure every school has a Sally Port. That's part of why the Wayne office is moving out to the front. It'll make this, since we have to build the Sally Port anyway, it just makes sense to go ahead and move the office because it'll make it a lot easier, and it's about a lot of a cheaper move. But every single school building will be retrofitted to ensure they have a Sally Port. That's the first thing, is we have to be able to manage who comes in and out of our buildings. The second piece is the upgrades to our phone system and our 911 operating system and our PA systems. We have to ensure that with our phone system and our security system, right now our phone system is our security system is analog, which basically means that we can't always have direct access for our police departments. When we get a digital police security system, we can give direct access to Chief Maciag and his team, to the Westland Police Department, to Inkster, and they can have access to the cameras that are in our schools. Right now, our cameras are so antiquated that it literally takes them hours upon hours if something happens to find the video. Literally, the minute we hear about something, everybody has to stop work, and this just happened last week. Anytime someone calls with an incident, everybody has to stop and go check the video, watch the video frame by frame because of the way it's orchestrated, and then save it because the videos don't save after, I think it's 72 hours. And so that's a problem, because if we hear something and it's like at that 70th hour, we have to go and make sure we can preserve the videos. With a digital system, that will automatically happen, and we won't have a lot of these challenges. So those are just a few of the security upgrades that are going to happen, but the PA system, communication system, also we have to, with tornado drills and active shooter drills the way they are, a lot of our libraries, and we didn't have a picture of it here, a lot of our libraries are open. You walk through the school and you can see inside where the kids are in the library. Wasn't that fun? Now that's considered a safety hazard. It's a safety hazard for tornadoes because of the glass in the window, but that's not even the worst part. The other part is it's a safety hazard in case we have an active shooter because they can see inside of the library or that facility. So those have to be blocked off so that people cannot see inside. We live in a different time, and so every one of our libraries is going to have to be retrofitted that has those windows to make sure folks cannot see inside of those classrooms.
Mayor,
I have to ask
Yes.
one more thing. You
Yes.
kind of indicated towards adults entering the school, but what about fellow students that may have, intentions other than to go there to learn? How do you screen that? How do you monitor that issue? Because some of these school shootings have occurred with fellow students,
Absolutely.
quite frankly. Are you looking at something for there to be able to ensure that your fellow students that you're going to school with aren't going to do any harm?
So that is addressed through preventative measures, and that we're addressing through social emotional learning. Because what we do know about every single one of those cases that we've studied, going all the way back to April of 1999 with Columbine, is that there were warning signals and that those kids were calling out for help. So we have that we have already done. That was part of what I did my first year coming in, is really focus on social emotional learning and teaching our kids how to cope with the stresses that we have to deal with. We have adults that can't deal with some of the stresses of life. How on earth do we expect 14-year-olds to deal with that and high school? And we have not taught them the social emotional skills. So this year we have a huge push using social emotional learning to have our teachers teach our kids, and it's part of the curriculum out of the state of Michigan. It just came out in August of 2017 to teach the social emotional learning curricula. So we are looking at either purchasing an entire curricula, but this year we're just focusing on the five social emotional competencies out of the state of Michigan. And already we are seeing a huge difference. The other piece to that comes the I Believe campaign. If you see, we all have buttons, or you see the signs out on the street. Part of the reason I wanted to get the signs, and not, yes, it's about the bond, but the bond is one piece of it. We believe Students Achieve is about the fact that my babies were telling me when I was coming in and doing my opening visits, they said, Dr. Holt, nobody believes in us. Nobody thinks we can. This is what our kids are telling me. So while we have a lot that we're going back and forth about, I've been at all the city council meetings, and they are interesting, let me just say. And we could fight about a whole lot. But at the end of the day, when the kids are telling us that we do not believe in them, we've got to sit down and start listening. And that's what our kids are saying. The overall theme, and I talked to kids at Franklin, Stevenson, Glenn, even Wayne, even the elementary kids, were saying nobody thinks we can, nobody cares. All they care about is themselves. This is the kids telling us this. So at some point, we have got to stop and listen. So the We Believe campaign and the signs that we have out in the community, I don't care if you support the bond or not, really. At the end of the day, what happens November 6th is going to happen. But our kids have to know we believe in them. And those signs and these buttons and the stuff on our cars is all about telling our kids, we believe in you. Not we believe in the bond. We believe in you. And our theme this year is when we believe, students achieve. When we believe in them, when we know that they can do this and we help them through, they will achieve. Our kids are hurting, folks. The trauma in our community, the divorce rates, the violence, the infighting, the Facebook, and all that other stuff that's going on, they are hurting. And we're trying to do this right, but I promise you we can do more together than we can do apart. So that's our method for preventing that, is to do preventative measures and really help our kids be able to handle their emotions, handle their feelings. Kimberly Papillon, and please look this up, Kimberly Papillon, P-A-P-I-L-L-O-N is her name. Her research, she actually teaches judges. She works with police officers and judges. Her research talks about that it takes 30 minutes a day of positive adult interaction to undo the impacts of trauma for our children. 30 minutes a day. Shaking a hand, giving a high five, saying, you know what, I see you and I believe in you. Though that's one. Hey, how you doing today? Are you going to have a great day? Are you? You having a great day, Mr. Webster? I'm asking you, are you having a good day?
It's good.
Absolutely. There you go. Then that's one. That's all it takes to really turn this around. But we have to be willing to do it. We have to be willing to do something different. So I can pontificate about that forever, but that's what we're about.
Good information. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes. If we have a question from the audience.
Well, I normally don't do this, but for the superintendent's information, my name is Mark Blackwell. I live in Wayne, and I was blocked from, no surprise, from the Facebook page because I posed a simple question, got blocked. So anyways, while I'm up here, I want to know who the treasurer is for this bond committee.
Bill Medell.
Okay. And you stated at another meeting like this which I attended, and you said, and I quote, "The additions and upgrades will happen regardless if this ballot proposal passes or not." So, and I don't need, I'm all for the kids' education. I don't have any children. I got nieces, nephews, great nieces, great greats, neighborhood kids. I don't need a sign or buttons. And by the way, I hope my money was spent very well, along with all these letters that went out. That right there, it could have bought some materials. Every teacher has to buy their own materials, because when I was a kid, most of you were kids, the school supplied it. I don't believe in this bond, and that's my opinion. And back in August, maybe the superintendent can enlighten us why just before the start of the school year, I believe it was approximately 16 administrators resigned. Poor leadership. Vote no on November 6th. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Blackwell. Anyone else? Mr. Clearman? Is this a question regarding the presentation?
A few of them. I'm hearing about the Sally ports in the schools and security. On the May 8th election, I went to a school to vote, and while I was there, a convicted pedophile block over from me went in there. I pointed it out, and I was told they had every right to be there. When I drop my daughter off in the morning when she's late to school, every door in the school's open. I asked about this in the last meeting. I was told those doors have to remain open for the first period because they can't put all the kids in through one door. So I don't know what good a Sallyport does if we're going to have every door in the school open. So the security thing seems a little disingenuous. And as far as advancing every student possible, we've limited the vocational programs. We have no auto shop. We have no wood shop. My first job after I got out of high school was as an auto mechanic. It was a great experience for me learning automotive skills. Kids nowadays don't get to do that. But we're resurfacing a tennis field. If you go over to the school and look at it, the tennis field has nothing wrong with it. Maybe a couple scuffs in one corner. But somehow that's critical, and vocational skills aren't. A lot of kids graduate high school to become auto mechanics. It's a good career. And the stage curtains, stage lighting at junior high.
Do you have a question, though, for the superintendent?
Things?
Pardon me?
How are these critical things, and why aren't things such as vocational programs being addressed?
So what do I do, just go up here to the
Yeah, yes.
Okay, so currently we do have vocational programs. We have auto tech, we have actually auto maintenance and the auto body work, and we also have construction programs. So I'm not sure, I don't know how exactly this works, but providing accurate information is what we prefer to do from the school district perspective. And these are critical needs for our schools. I mean, our kids need to be safe when they're either in the theaters or on the tennis court. So I'm not sure how this whole thing works.
Okay.
How are they dangerous on tennis courts? You're saying it's a critical need. What's dangerous about it?
If a child hurts themselves, they're on the tennis court because the floor is not right. That's a problem.
Right, but how's the floor not right? I talked about it last time. You said you were going to look into it. I haven't heard a thing back on it.
Mr. Clearman, if you could take this outside to discuss with the superintendent after, I'd appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Ask your questions.
And she gave you an answer.
There was no answer on the security thing, but okay.
Yes.
Almost took a fall seeing those dollar figures. I read a published document for Wayne Westland Schools, and it states the bond millage is for 25 years at 4.88. So if you have, is my understanding, then if you had a house of $100,000, that you would want an extra $488 in taxes. But you'll be kind enough the second year on that tax to drop it down to 0.50, which would take you down to 4.30. Now, to my understanding of this legal document that was printed in a newspaper, that this millage is for a total of 25 years, conclusive.
Okay. Is it for 25 years?
I didn't hear you. What?
Oh.
You don't understand me? Go ahead.
Please.
Okay,
Mr.
I asked
Okay, you asked a question, and it is for 25 years, correct? Yes.
Well, that's, I mean, we have this question.
Maybe we should just accept the questions and maybe stop. The presentation was done and it could be completed, and then we can move the agenda.
It didn't mention in there anything about the 25 years or the millage rate, which was 4.88. That's what my question was about. And that's what I wanted the person to.
Okay, she did state the millage rate.
Via here so I can hear it.
Okay, all right. She did state the millage rate. It is 4.48 millage rate per household. And that is 1.08 mils lower than what it was in 2015. So, okay, thank you very much, Dr. Holt.
Here, I got one question for her. I just wanted.
A question?
Yeah, so she can answer something.
Okay.
Dr. Holt.
Dr. Holt, Councilman Racy has a question.
Can you give us the other times that you guys are going to be doing the full presentation?
Yes. We're going to do the full presentation because this was just a 15-minute version. On October 4th at the Dyer Center, that's the Bond Advisory Committee meeting, let me take that back. October 9th at Hicks Elementary, October 11th at Stevenson Middle, and October 23rd at John Glenn High School.
Okay, I went to one of the hour ones, and it definitely is worth spending an hour because you see a lot more and you hear a lot more, and the video is very important, and your pictures help a lot. So, thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Holt. Thank you. Thank you for coming this evening. And can you leave some of these folders out in the lobby area? Thank you.
The next item is item 4, bid awards. Item 4A.
Could we please keep it quiet? Thank you. Then.
Item 4 are bid awards. Item 4A is to approve the bid awards for the building alterations for the former Building and Engineering Building at 4001 South Wayne Road to be paid from the general fund. This approval is subject to a written contract acceptable to both the city and the vendor.
Motion to approve.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Mr. Biden, could you please give us a little brief overview?
Councilman Porter made the motion and was supported by Councilman Webster.
Madam Mayor, members of the council, thank you for the opportunity tonight. For the old DPW building that we're trying to sell, we have to prepare that building for sale appropriately. One of the concerns there, one of the things that we have to address in that is the north wall of the building has several windows and doors and vents that lead from our old building engineering building into the DPW yard. All of those doors and windows and vents need to be sealed off. And so when we do that, we're going to cause a problem for egress, emergency egress. There are distance requirements that the building official, Larry Wegerson, and the deputy chief, Jeremy Schneider, are aware of, and they went out and looked at the building, and we needed to replace a couple of the doors in that building with some new doors in a different spot so they wouldn't have access to the DPW yard. So this particular issue before us is to take care of those openings and add a couple doors in the building so that we have appropriate egress from the building.
Okay. Are there any questions from council?
Madam Mayor, my only question would be is why such a large gap? Why there's such a large gap between the two bids?
When you only have two bids like that, you want to make sure that nothing is wrong with the proposal that you put out, and one way to balance that is to look at the estimate for the cost before the project goes out. I did speak with a building official. He estimated that this project should cost anywhere from $15,000 to $20,000. This at 18,222.40 fell right in that range, so we were very comfortable with the low bid in this instance.
Mayor Rowe, and it's my understanding that, you know, this is necessary for us to proceed with the final sale of that building, correct?
To protect the interests of our DPW yard, yes, sir.
Okay.
Any further questions? Yes,
Madam Mayor,
Mr. Amos.
I have one.
Yes.
So
Mr.
this
Webster.
isn't a requirement of the buyer. This is something that we decided to do, correct?
That's true. This is for us to secure our yard.
Madam Mayor, City
Yes.
Council. My question would be, if we have a potential buyer and, well, fish on a hook, whatever you want to call it, why can't they pay for these improvements, and why should the taxpayers? I mean, I understand we need to protect our DPW yard and equipment, but why can't they buy it as is and then make the improvements?
Okay. Mr. Biden, do you have an answer to that, or?
The best person to speak on this would be Lori Goen, but she's not here, so I'm going to try and help out a little bit. I know that we tried to negotiate the very best price that we could for this building. We have an offer that is a very good offer for this building. If we try and ask for more that wasn't expected of these people, I'm sure that would alter the amount of their offer. If we could try. I don't think that that would be in our best interest, because they didn't go into this purchase thinking that they would have to do these things, and so that would add cost to them. They would have to somehow get that cost back from us by lowering their bid. That would be the thought process there.
Okay. Wish of council? Any more questions? It's been moved and supported. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Next item is item 5, appointments to boards, commissions, and committees. Item 5A is to approve the appointment of Virginia Caesars, 3448 West Ridge Court, to the Wayne Library Board to fill the unexpired term of D. Ryan until February 2020.
Move approval.
Support.
It was moved by Councilman Racy, supported by Councilman Porter. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Next item is item 5B. This is to accept the resignation of Linda Kay from the Parks and Trails Committee.
Move to approve.
Support.
It's been moved by Councilman Webster, supported by Councilman Porter. Are there any questions? Okay. Add in there the letter of, even though she did not attend the first meeting, just a letter of thanks.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Next item is item 5C, to accept the resignation of Patricia Rice from the Local Officers Compensation Commission.
Move approval.
Support.
It's been moved by Councilman Racy, supported by Councilman Webster. Is there any question, discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item 5D is to approve the appointment of Pamela Dobrowski, 4443 Biddle Street, to the Local Officers Compensation Commission until October 2025.
Move to approve.
It's been moved by Councilman Webster, supported by Councilman Racy. Any questions? Yes, Kathy.
What is that for? Compensation?
Local Officers Compensation Commission. It sets the salaries for elected officials. Did we vote?
We did not.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
The next item are communications and reports. Item 6A is a flyer from the Wayne Fire Department regarding the 21st annual Breakfast with Your Firefighters, which is this Saturday, October 6, 2018, from 9 to noon at the fire station.
Okay.
Did I say enough? Okay, good. Okay. All right.
It's always
Please come
good.
and join.
Yes.
Please come and join them.
It's always good food, and it's a nice chance to see our fire department, and they do nice things for our children. So, you'll have, Okay, did you hear that? 100 smoke detectors will be handed out to the first 100 people. Thank you. Next item
is item 6B. This is a flyer from the Wayne Main Street about Toast Wayne event on Thursday, October 4th, 2018 at 7 p.m.
Is Mr. Cameron here? No? Okay.
Good evening, Mayor and members of City Council. I wanted to take this opportunity to remind everybody about our annual fundraiser, Toast Wayne, happening this week, Thursday the 4th from 7 to 10 at the historic Standard Federal Bank building in heart of downtown Wayne. We're really excited about the event this year. If you hadn't had the opportunity to attend the event last year or recently be in the venue for the event, it's a phenomenal space for an event like this. So we're really looking forward to hosting this year's event once again at that particular location. I'm also pleased to share with you, we've got some great things going on throughout the night. A great live local band that's going to be playing for us, Sugar Tips. Silent auction packages, almost 30 silent auction packages that patrons will have the opportunity to bid on. And also some amazing appetizers. We have a lot of great local restaurants and caterers participating. Cafe Marquette, Karma Kitchen, Dairy Queen, Marquise Catering, Costas Village. I'm forgetting a bunch, but we're going to have some really delicious food for all of our patrons to enjoy while they visit the space. And we're really pleased this year also to add a new sponsor. Beaumont Hospital is our presenting sponsor. So some of the team over at Beaumont, including Eric Widner, will be in attendance to celebrate the evening with us. And I also just wanted to say how important this event is for Main Street in our operation. We only really do one fundraiser each year, and Toast Wayne happens to be it. So it's a great way to support the work that we do, and it's a great time, and we're really looking forward to it. So I have tickets with me here tonight. If anybody's interested in purchasing, I will plan on staying through the meeting. $35 in advance, or $40 at the door. Thank you.
Thank you. Next item
is item 7, general items for consideration. Item 7A is to approve the municipal, which is $17,290, and the community credit, which is $28,983, contract with SMART for services provided by Nankin Transit for the fiscal year of 2019.
Move approval.
Support.
It's been moved by Councilman Racy, supported by Councilman Webster. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And the next item in that vein is item 7B. This is to approve an amendment with the municipal and community credit contract for $1,890. That's $1,890 more with SMART for services provided by Nankin Transit for fiscal year 2018.
Move approval.
It's been moved by Councilman Webster, supported by Councilman Racy. Are there any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item 7C is to approve the purchase of a 2019 Ford F-450 Type 1 marquee ambulance in the amount of $225,001.35 to be paid from the Assistance to Firefighters grant.
Move to approve.
Support.
It's been moved by Mayor Pro Tem Miller, supported by Councilman Porter. Deputy Chief Schneider, do you wish to give us any information?
Good evening, Madam Mayor and City Council. We approved the AFG grant last council meeting. So this is the actual purchase of the ambulance that those funds will go to. This is the exact same ambulance that we purchased with the Distressed Cities grant. So it'll be 2 matching ambulances for continuity in the station.
When can we anticipate delivery?
Well, we don't have a build date yet because I'm waiting for your approval.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Hopefully we get it soon.
Get it ordered.
Yeah. Thank you.
Is item 7D. This is to approve the use of council chambers for the League of Women Voters for Candidate Forum.
Move to approve.
Is there support?
I'll support.
Thank you.
I want to hear.
Do you have anything to give us on this?
Thank you, Ms. Mayor. I know Mr. Clark communicated with the council and the mayor since the last meeting regarding this, so it is a pleasure of the council and the mayor.
Okay. All right, it's been moved by Mayor Pro Tem Miller and supported by Councilman Porter. Is there any discussion from members of council? Yes, Councilman Racy.
I still have the same concern. I mean, that I had originally. It was what was said at the last meeting wasn't what really was going on. I've never had a problem with having this forum at the library. There's been a history of this being at the library, and from my understanding, it was actually used to be at the community center years before that. I am concerned that if we allow somebody to come in here to do it, we have to do it for everybody, and we're not open for that time to do that. And any other organization that is wanting to use our facilities, we are now obligated to do that. So that was the reason why we didn't do it in the past. I know that we had a resident that tried to do it here, and he was told no and had to go out and get his own video person before, and has said that he would want to get refunded for that if we were to change that. I don't support putting it here at this facility, but I am in full support of having it at the library where everybody could see it, or at Hype if Hype is interested in having it there. I just don't think it's the right thing for us to do at City Hall at this time, just because of the financial situation, and I don't want to open ourselves up to having to allow other people. I'm also concerned from the sense that they said that they pay money to our person to do it, but this is still city equipment that we don't own, and you just can't, you'd have to go through the city however we did it. But I don't think it's a good idea. I think we should be doing it in the library or at Hype personally. So,
anyone else?
Madam Mayor.
Yes.
I talked to a few city managers this past week that do have and facilitate the Women League of Voters in their communities for many years without any issues whatsoever. And what's really important here to point out is that this is a not an endorsement of any form or kind of conversation. This is purely informational, just like a council meeting is. And I think it's very important as a community that we strive to be more transparent in having well-informed residents to be able to decide on who they want to turn the keys over to the city in the next election. It was interesting to point out is that all these communities that did facilitate the Women's League of Voters, they also had, and I don't know if it's any relation to it, they also had a lower a FOIA requests in their community. Okay, I think this is an opportunity for this community to be able to reach onto a more open culture in our community with providing that information and relationship with our residents. I see no difference in being able to facilitate that information here at City Hall or is at the library. Like I said, this is just a informative, informational purpose for our residents, and we should not stop it or block it or suppress it at all. They're well respected, and they've done this for decades. There's just no reason not to.
What is the wish of council? It's been moved and supported. Yes. Do you have a question?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just asking if you have a question.
The question is, does it cost more to have the meeting here at City Hall, where we usually meet, or does it cost less than if we go to Hype, where we have to make arrangements and it's not telegraphed to our public? Or does it cost less at our public library, which has diminished hours, seating capacity, etc.? You have this high-tech information system that is being used. So the question is, what costs less? What is in the best interest of the public is what we rely on. And the question is $5 difference less than go to Hype, where you never see the telecast? It is all here today, tonight. We do not have to break a rhythm that we used to have and do have. Liberty, justice for all.
Thank you. Yes, Mr. Blackwell.
Madam Mayor, we've spent tax dollars updating this equipment, audio, visual, and correct me if I'm wrong, you yourself, I don't know if you still do, but you used to be affiliated with the League of Women Voters.
I still am a member. I've been a member since 1970.
It is a nonpartisan organization.
It is not a partisan organization.
Correct. And they set, I guess, what do you, the agenda, or they set the,
they moderate the entire event.
Thank you.
Yes.
I'm usually not at a loss for words, you know that. I don't have any problem with having it here because, like I said, we've already updated this equipment here. You know, like the Honorable Mayor Pro Tem stated, you know, there's enough seating in here for the candidates. I'm sure everyone should be in agreement. You know, this is our building, our equipment, so let's use it. Okay. And thank you for clarifying that with the League of Women Voters. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, it's been moved to allow the League of Women Voters to host a forum here. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Is Councilman Webster and Councilman Racy were no?
No.
Okay. Yes, okay.
Yes.
So it
the
does
motion
pass.
passed 4-2. Okay, item 7E is to approve an addendum with the Western Wayne County Special Operations Team regarding participation matters.
Move to approve.
Support.
It's been moved by Mayor Pro Tem Miller and supported by Councilman Webster. And good evening, Chief.
Good evening, Mayor and members of City Council. A couple months ago, I brought to you the original Memorandum of Understanding for the Western Wayne Special Operations Team. Since that was approved, the board met again and they talked about participation of agencies and wanted to put something in the original MOU about participation and, more importantly, if officers do miss training and things like that, a monetary fee. It was agreed upon in there that if a member team or member agency fails to put someone on the team, is a $2,500 fee that would be assessed to that organization, with the understanding, obviously, if we spoke very freely with the board that if we're unable to and we're trying to get somebody on the team, they do understand that. So it's not 100%. This is what you're going to get. This is for an agency that may come in and refuse to put somebody on the team, and that's not where we're at. Currently, right now, I don't have anyone on the team because of the reorganization that we went through and our very young officers right now. But I do have someone that's interested, and there is a school coming up in April, so hopefully have them on the team then. So I don't see this being an issue with us whatsoever.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for the chief? It's been moved and supported. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Chief.
Is item 7F. This is to approve stormwater agreement number 1 with BKG Dominion for stormwater facility maintenance at 39055 Maple Avenue.
Wish of council?
Move to approve.
Support.
It's been moved by Councilman Webster, supported by Councilman Porter. And Mr. Biden, can you just give us a brief description for the audience?
And Mayor, members of the council, items 7F and 7G are very much the same. So if I could give you an explanation for both of those. This would be for the area south of on Maple Road on the south side between Hicks and Hannon, where we have a new building going in known as Ground FX. When they put this building up, they have to meet the Wayne County stormwater requirements. Part of the requirements for that stormwater is that the municipality take responsibility for the long-term maintenance of that stormwater facility. Before we're willing to do that, we enter into an agreement, and that's what you have here. With your permission, we enter into an agreement with the owner of the property that they have to maintain their facility, and if they don't, that any cost that would be borne to us would be submitted to them for payment. So there, in this particular case, Ground FX has two separate storm sewer systems. So that's the reason why you'll see very similar looking documents for 7F and 7G. The difference is one says System 1 and the other one says System 2, and the pictures of the area that they cover look a little different. Basically the same.
Are there any questions for Mr. Biden? Okay. It's been moved and supported to approve Stormwater Agreement number 1. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And
Next
then
item
next
is
item.
7G for Stormwater Agreement number 2.
Motion
to approve.
Support.
It's been moved by Councilman Porter, supported by Councilman Webster. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Next item is item 7H. This is to approve a lot split number 2018-04 for 4001 South Wayne Road. This is parcel number 55-018-07-0296-002. This will create two parcels for the purpose of the selling of the property.
Move to approve.
Support.
It's been moved by Councilman Webster, supported by Councilman Porter. Are there any questions for Mr. Biden? No? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. You had a lot on the agenda tonight. Means we're moving forward.
Next item is item 8, administration reports.
And do we have anything?
I am actually going to have the city attorney give his report this evening.
Okay.
Since most of the questions revolved around him. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of council, audience here and at home. Just a couple things I'd like to mention. Things are running still very smoothly at the 29th District Court with the municipal dockets. The police are doing a great job regarding school bus safety. We had a case today actually where we actually had an appeal from an informal hearing. We went to formal hearing on a citizen that did not stop after the school bus had flashed out its blinkers and its stop sign, and they still went around. It was on Michigan Avenue where there were 4 lanes of traffic heading westbound, and the gentleman was 3 lanes over and didn't think he had to stop, but he pursued through anyway. And I just applaud the police department on trying to emphasize school bus safety. It's so very important. It just takes one mistake really to change someone's life forever. So I encourage everybody at home, just be careful around the school buses, because if you're not careful on the school buses, you could meet with one of the Wayne Police Department officers, so be careful about that. Again, Mr. Clark, as always, is working on a number of things on behalf of the city. On our end of things, it looks like the Carnegie Street situation has somewhat resolved for now. Happy to report. I'd like to thank Mayor Rowe for her timely assistance in helping us resolve the situation, as well as the council and administration for their support. District Court Judge Mack and her staff were great to work with. It was pretty much most every department in the city was involved in one way or another. The building department was very involved. Their animal control officer was very involved. The police were very involved. Even the fire department came out and did a sweep of the house just to make sure that it was a safe situation after the people that were living there had vacated the premises. So, and the neighbors as well, for their efforts in helping their own neighborhood. It was a team effort. So just like to thank everybody for that, helping us resolve that. As to, I guess the last thing I would have are Cadillac Apartments. I could give an update on that.
Okay.
If the mayor and the council would like.
Please.
Basically, I sent an email out to one of the residents earlier this week. I'll basically just paraphrase the email that I sent out regarding this. That I did have a visit. I visited the site 2 Thursdays ago and then met with building officials on Monday, September 24th regarding the Cadillac Square apartment building while I was at court. In the course of our meeting, we spoke to one of the building's owners, Michael Clark, via telephone, and my understanding is that progress is being made. Electricity and gas have been disconnected since 2017. In the last few months, the owners have completed environmental assessments for asbestos and lead paint. Some asbestos was found in the window casements. That material has been abated, the windows have been removed, and these are all steps that are prerequisite for demolition of the structure. And as the property is a commercial structure on a state highway, there are additional requirements with the state with respect to paperwork, and that's a process that we're working through in the next few weeks. The building department hopes to get the final go-ahead from the state, which would allow the owners to pull their demolition permit. And I'm also told that the owners have already bid out the demo work and hope to have the buildings level by the time winter hits. And it is also my understanding that any potential underground environmental issues have been addressed as well. So after demolition, the parcel that remains would be ready for development. So that's my understanding of the situation at the Cadillac Apartments up to the minute. If there are any more developments, I'll certainly keep you all informed, and I'll do what I can to inform the community as well. As far as my to-do list, again, it is to monitor the situation at Cadillac Apartments. There are some proposed ordinance revisions to the sidewalk ordinance and the vacant property ordinance that we're going to try to get resolved here in relatively short order. And I still need to find the time to watch some of the old prior council meetings. So that's an ongoing objective of mine. So thank you for the opportunity to address you tonight.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, Mr. Blackwell.
At a previous council meeting, I brought up the issue about an overpayment that was paid by the city to an employee, and I believe the city attorney asked you, is that something that you want him to check into, and you told him yes. I was wondering where we stand at that.
Oh, I haven't checked into that.
Well, the mayor directed you to check into the overpayments in regards to something of the investigation of dispute resolutions.
Do you want me to address the question here?
Yes, please do.
I'll ask Labor Council what they know about it.
There was an
I don't have any information for you tonight.
Right. Okay, well, I respect that. And another thing, I do appreciate Mr. Bosnick. My FOIA request from September 6th, which I gave to the council and the clerk, I received an email from him. I'm kind of stumped because I don't know, and I like the guy. I think he's nice. You know, he still looks like Jason Bateman, I think. Okay. But anyways, I received an email from him on Wednesday to meet him here at City Hall regarding my FOIA, the documents that I requested to look at. I don't know why I had to meet with the city attorney. Nice guy, but he's not the FOIA coordinator. The city manager appointed herself as that. I don't know. I know there was meetings going on here because it was a beehive of activity. So I just, I don't know why. But I would like that issue that I brought up about the overpayment by the city to an employee to have an answer at the next meeting.
Okay.
And
yes. Yes, Mr. Attorney. Yes, Mr. Attorney.
I was at the courthouse that morning, and it was just real convenient for me to just come on over. I don't know if, as far as availability for a coordinator, Lisa could.
If I could answer, Mayor.
Yes.
I actually had meetings scheduled that day, and by obligation, we had to get to Mr. Blackwell's FOIA that day. I did not have time to do that. So as a backup, I asked Mike if he was going to be here, if he could do that for me, since we worked on the FOIA coordination together.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
I'd like to, you know, through the chair, I would like an answer from the previous meeting about the overpayment to about the health care.
He will discuss it with the labor attorney. Any other questions? No. Okay. Is this for the city attorney regarding his report?
Yes.
Okay.
I wanted to congratulate the city attorney and everyone that worked with you on making what seemed to be very quick work of that problem house on Carnegie Street. And my question is, I don't expect an answer on this tonight, but what can we do, and when I say we, I mean all of us, what can we do to do more of this, to attack more of these problem houses in Wayne?
Do you have an answer?
It's something I'm certain that the appropriate city officials are going to look at. I mean, I don't have anything more comprehensive than that. I'm sorry. We'll address these as they come.
Working on the ordinances and the vacant properties ordinance will assist us in this, I'm sure. So, you know, as we get moving along with the new attorney and such, you know, we'll have more to work with, more in our toolbox, as they say. Mr. Osborne. Is this for the city attorney?
Oh, he could answer that, yes.
It is for the city attorney. This is not the open comments. This is the city attorney's report.
No, not at all. This was for the city manager, but
no, this has to go. This is only regarding the city attorney's
report. Through the city attorney, you're now the holder of a record. I have some documentation that our city manager hired a private investigator. Yes, ma'am?
Mr. Osborne, this is not regarding his report that he gave us, so you will have to sit down until after when it comes to citizens' comments, okay? We are giving the administration's report right now, so unless you have a specific question regarding the report.
We haven't heard it yet, right? You want
no, she turned her time over for the attorney to answer.
I'm from Westland.
Would you like me to move the agenda, Mayor?
Please.
Thank you. This is citizens' comments or requests on items not on the agenda. Citizens are to limit their comments or requests to 3 minutes. The City Council asks that if you do have a question or concern, to bring it to the attention of the appropriate departments whenever possible. If you feel that the matter has not been resolved satisfactorily, you are encouraged to bring it to the attention of the City Manager, and if still not resolved satisfactorily, to the Mayor and the City Council. The Mayor, the City Council, and the department heads may not respond to the questions at the meeting, but will respond by the next City Council meeting or as soon as possible once they've looked into the matter.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Blackwell.
The city manager and the assistant DPW director are violating the Wayne City Charter by going out and reposting for the Labor 2 position again for the third time. The assistant DPW director must, pursuant to charter, pick a candidate from the established list from within. However, for some reason or another, those qualified candidates have been passed over. Why haven't we hired someone? The Labor 2 position has been posted for the last 6 months. Didn't anyone pass the test? The charter requires us to hire off of the eligibility list as long as they are qualified, and the Labor 2 qualifications are a high school diploma or GED. The administration seems to be persistent in dumbing down on qualifications for whom is handpicked. For example, when the current assistant DPW director signed up to be a foreman in May 2009, he was to acquire an S2 DEQ operator certification within 2 years. As of September 30th, 2018, he has not acquired this certification. In February 2016, when 2 openings were posted again for the foreman position, the posting stated that you must have the State of Michigan S2 certification so they could handpick the employees they wanted. And people wonder why there is a hostile work environment, dumbing down, and handpicked. I yield back the balance of my time.
would the city manager just make a note of looking into this labor 2 position and report to the next council meeting? Thank you. Anyone else? Mr. Yes, Mr. Okay. Are you somebody? Ms. Brock.
Mayor, members of the council. Last week, when the mayor was given her report, and it's not an attack on you, it's a clarification of something. You went to the meeting about the overdose awareness in St. Mary's. Nonchalantly, you said if you overdosed and you go to the hospital, they'll give you Norco. And then you said, oh, no, Norcan. The opioid...
St. Mary's.
Oh, my. When someone is overdosed...
I was not at a meeting at St. Mary's.
You went to a meeting about the crisis and what this organization, FAN, and the different programs are doing. Nonchalantly, you said, if you overdose and you go to the emergency room, they will give you Norco. Norco is an opioid, which we are fighting. Please, when it's something that people's lives are affected by, have the right information. They will be given Norcan, not Norco.
Thank you.
And the other program is hopes, not handcuffs, not hugs. We'd love to give them a hug if they need it, but we want to give them hope that there's help. It bothered me for 2 weeks because people watch this and they need the right information to fight this crisis. So please know if you overdose, they're not going to give you Norco, they will give you Norcan. Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Amos.
My name's Vern Amos, live on Stellwagen. I may have put out some misinformation last time on the crossing guard opening that we have. I keep saying full-time when I come to the podium, and it's basically a half hour in the morning and a half an hour in the afternoon of your time. And you do get paid for this time. It's not a great deal of money, but it's enough to buy gas and a loaf of bread maybe. But it is a decent job, and it's for the children of the community. So please, if anybody out there is interested, inquire at the police department or here at City Hall. On the same lines, basically, as safety crossing guard issue, in the past week, DPW did paint the lines that I required or asked for. They just missed the north and south lines at 4th Street and Annapolis. The rest of them look great. They did a nice job, and I appreciate that.
Okay.
I'd also like to ask or request that the police department take a look at traffic control at that intersection of 4th and Annapolis. Perhaps we could slow the traffic down if we added 2 more stop signs, one on each direction, east and west on Annapolis. And that would be greatly appreciated if we could start controlling some of the speed of these drivers taking their children to and from school or people that are running late for work. It's very hazardous out there with just a stop sign to protect yourself. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Amos. Anyone else? Yes, John.
John Mills, Chestnut Street. I'd like to remind the council and the community for the Wayne Historical Society's historic cemetery walk, which will be this Sunday, the 7th, from 1 to 3 at Old Wayne, Michigan Avenue Cemetery next to the State Wayne. You'll enter and exit by the back gate, which is off the alley, and there's lots of parking back there. And we will be serving cider and donuts. And related to this, I want to personally thank members of the Department of Public Works for their maintenance of the cemetery. It's looked the best it has in a while, and I want to thank them for maintaining our cemeteries. This is our 5th annual cemetery walk, and our first return back to Old Wayne when it started 5 years ago. And to get a plug in for next year, we'll be back at Glenwood, and it's always the first Sunday of October from 1 to 3. So keep that in the back of your mind, so if you miss our flyers or don't go to our Facebook page, you'll certainly see and not miss the cemetery walks. Following that, we'll go to West Lawn again and then back to St. Mary's. And that, thank you.
Thank you. Also, I just want to say thank you for the excellent job that was done in the museum on the St. Mary's Church and School exhibit. It was very nice. The reception was very nice as well. And do you know how long that's going to be up?
It'll be up for several months.
Okay.
And we have our board meeting tomorrow night at the museum, so I will share that with the two people who are responsible for that presentation.
Okay. Thank you.
Which are Nicole Conklin and Tyler Mull.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes. Mr. Osborne.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Council.
Yes.
Some meetings back, you passed a resolution to release the investigation of the hostile work environment done by Dispute Resolution Services, PC, Richard Hufford, lawyer. You voted and you gavelled it that we, the public, would have it available to us. It has not been available from Mr. Miller's office. We don't have it. There's people waiting in line for it. I wondered if you could address why a council on a 5-1 decision and with legal advice, it was passed, and now you retracted. We hired another lawyer, Mr. Bosnick, who we claimed when we started this investigation was supposed to be totally impartial, knew anybody in Wayne. Yet we hire Mr. Bosnick and his associates, and he decides now, he's the new law firm, he decides now, hey, you can't have it. And I'd like an answer why you seesaw. As we know, we're in financial straits here in Wayne. So we are closed on Friday for local business. I would like to know, and the proper authorities would be able to take that information in, the IT person, the police department, whatever. That this building was open on a Saturday and 2 people were here. Actually, 3 people were here. Mr. Miller is one, but he left for the day. And a certain person with a private investigator remained here in this building unaccompanied. We paid a lot of money, $45,000 for that investigation. $45,000. Madam Mayor, may I please have an extension of my 3 minutes, because I think this is very imperative for what we are talking about. Madam Mayor?
No, I am sorry.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
May I say in closing that the person who was the private investigator here was an ex-police chief of the city of Inkster who got terminated. Thank you for moving me on.
Thank you for sitting down. Thank you.
Shall we place this before you in writing to get answers?
Yes.
Through legal offices?
You can send it to me in an email.
Well, the report says do not trust emails.
I won't share it. Anyone else?
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
Could I just address one of the concerns raised by Mr. Osborne?
Yes.
Just for the public at home and the people here, the document is available pursuant to FOIA. So if you come into city offices and request it via FOIA like you would any other public document, it would be available. The implication that somehow information is being withheld is simply not true. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes.
Good evening again, Mayor and members of council. I look forward to doing a more formal presentation on our scarecrows in a follow-up meeting, but just wanted to remind everybody that our scarecrows are up. They look absolutely fabulous, and the voting for the Facebook prize is ongoing. So you can go to our facebook.com, Wayne Main Street, look through our album, which is pinned to the top of the page, and vote for your one favorite or a couple favorites, however many you want to show your support to. And already this year, just with our votes in the last couple days, we're well past the total number of votes that we received for the whole campaign last year. So Scarecrows is going really well, and I hope that everybody enjoys the look of the Scarecrows and how they really add to our community this fall.
Thank you. Anyone else? Next, before we move on, I was amiss in the administration's reports. I have one here from the Senior Director, Nancy Knoll. There's Christmas again at Cornwell's Turkeyville. Wednesday, December the 5th. It's $90 through the Sometimes Travelers Club. And you go to Cornwell's Turkeyville for fresh carved turkey, mashed potatoes, dressing, gravy, vegetable, casserole, rolls, dessert, drinks, tea, and coffee. So if you wish to attend, it's a green flyer, and those will be out in the vestibule. Next is One Stop Health Screening, and this is free, and it will take place at the, Community Health on Lundy Parkway in Dearborn, but this screening will take place at the Hype Recreation Center on October the 16th from 11 to 3 p.m. It is free. It does blood pressure screening, cholesterol screening, and a glucose diabetes screening. No fasting requirement, and there is no appointment. You just must be 18 years of age. The AARP Drive Safely, refresh your driving skills. There's a classroom course in your neighborhood. It's going to be held at Hype Recreation on Wednesday, November the 7th from 9:30 to 1:30 p.m. and the check-in starts at 9:15. It's a 4-hour driver safety refresher course, so it might, if you know of people who don't know about how to stop for school buses, you may want to ask them to attend. And the next one is Technology is Changing the Driving Experience. As you know, if you've bought a new car recently, there's all kinds of new vehicle technology on it. So if you want to understand how to use it, what it does for you, please attend at Hype Recreation on Wednesday, November the 14th from 9:30 to 11 a.m. There will be someone from ARP there to give you a drive tech workshop so you know how to drive your brand new car and know what it can do for you. Okay, move the agenda.
Is item 9, items for the next agenda?
Are there any items for the next agenda?
I do, Mayor Rowe.
Yes.
I have 2 of them. One of them, I want to reiterate my request on discussion regarding the recommendations in this report. I know you sent an email indicating that once the labor attorney has compiled information to share with us, my question would be is how soon will that be? And secondly, I'm going to implore on this council to take the lift of responsibility like we did in seeking this report as required, to also now set up a open meeting, a special meeting, and ask the questions how, what, who, and where, and why in this report. I think this is extremely important that we provide closure of this report and understanding and the importance of the significance of these recommendations. You cannot have success with the recommendations if you do not have closure with the content of this report. And I'm seriously imploring this council to stop avoiding its responsibility in doing so.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay.
The next item then are comments from members of the City Council.
Okay. I will start with Councilman Dowd.
I was approached by a volunteer for the Main Street Toast Wayne, and she asked me to mention the event, and be it that I don't want to go home and have problems. The Toast of Wayne event is, I can tell you firsthand, is going to be a fantastic event, and take the time Thursday and visit the building, attend, and socialize. I know that it's the second year in this building, and it's this year will be even better. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Porter.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll reiterate what he said. We've got two great events this week. We have Toast Wayne on Thursday and Breakfast in the Firemen on Sunday. So
Saturday.
I'm sorry. Yes, it's only written down in front of me. Saturday, October 6th. Two great things. We need to participate in those.
And we have 3, the cemetery.
And the cemetery walk. I meant to note that. Also want to thank the Parks Committee for the cleanup at Forest Park, the painting of the pavilion, the sign, the tables. Boy, it looks so much better. Thank you very much to the Parks Committee for that.
Thank you. Councilman Webster.
To kind of reiterate a couple points that everyone's already touched on, we do have a lot of great events this week. You have obviously Toast Wayne on Thursday. On Saturday, you have both the you have the firefighters on Saturday. Sunday, you have the historic event, and something people have not mentioned is there is the Meet the Candidates Forum, which is going to be at the US 12 Bar and Grill. It's going to be located in the Rock Room starting at 3 p.m. So if you get a chance, go out and meet some of your candidates running for council and hear what they have to say. And to kind of touch on Tom's point, I want to thank the Parks and Trails Committee. We did get a lot done the other week. There's a lot more to do, though. We didn't have a ton of participation this time around, but I'm hoping that more people will come out. We are going to have a meeting here coming up soon, and we're going to schedule some more days, so be on the lookout for that. Thursday. Yep. So with that, that's it.
Thank you. Councilman Racy.
Thank you, Mayor. I have a few things tonight. First off, I want to thank everybody that participated in the Scarecrow project. They look great, like Maxwell said earlier. I know my wife did a Scarecrow again this year. She hadn't done for a couple years, and I know why. It's a lot of work. I went to bed, and she was still up when I got up about 6 o'clock in the morning, like, what are you doing? She finished my Scarecrow. So she didn't go to bed till 10. Thank you, Maxwell. But no, it's definitely worth it, and I do think it makes the town look great, and it's been I think it's 6, 7 maybe years now that this has been going on. It's definitely growing, and I think it's a great thing for our community. And then I did get a chance to attend the Champions fundraiser last week at State Wayne for the red carpet event that they did for Liz and in Rogers Park. Definitely worth checking out. Rogers Park is actually going to be on Amazon Prime. I think it starts a couple days ago or yesterday. So you could go out and check out that film. Antoine McKay, who's a graduate from Wayne Memorial class of 1988, which was also the alumni from Wayne, honored alumni last year, is in this film, and definitely it was a good film, and I was had a good time, and it was definitely worth checking out. And it's kind of cool that both films had graduates from Wayne Memorial that were in them, and it was great to see. And the Champions program is still a great program, making a difference in our kids' lives. And I also want to thank our city attorney on the Carnegie situation. I think right after you guys went over there, I had residents coming to my house to let me know that you guys were there, and actually that our city attorney was there too. And I was really impressed with that, and I'm just grateful that we were able to get that done in such a short amount of time for how long that it went on, and I really appreciate your work on this and everybody else that was involved, but thank you very much.
Mayor Pro Tem Miller.
I don't have anything this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. I would just like to say that this evening I attended the Western Wayne Business Leadership Banquet, and it was held at the Ford Motor Company Conference and Event Center. The elected officials from the 18 communities were part of the hosting group. Many of us were able to attend, and I left in time to come to the council meeting. But it was a great opportunity to meet elected officials and businesses, those that worked with us as various vendors throughout the community. And also I want to thank the city manager and Lori Goen, the community development director. They did a nice display for community development that is happening in Wayne. We were there with Romulus and was it Northville? Livonia, and I think Northville. So it was very nice. It's a nice display there, and there are a lot of people there from various communities, businesses, and such to look at it. So I just want to say thank you. And the next thing is thank you for correcting me, Mrs. Brock. I appreciate it. And next, I would just like to say that I must say this evening, when we had the school superintendent here from Wayne Westland Schools, I must say this was probably one of the first nights that I can honestly say I sat up here and was embarrassed. The way she was treated. She was here giving us information on a ballot proposal that is critical to the city of Wayne, Westland, and the surrounding communities. Move to adjourn, please.
Move to support.
It's been moved and supported. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.